What's up, readers? Today, we are talking about characters' less likable traits again. However, just like when we talked about Harry Potter before, you're probably thinking of all of these reasons why that less likable trait exists. How he's protecting students from being hurt by Malfoy, hypothetically speaking. Or he's trying to make sure that Snape doesn't do some bad thing that he shouldn't be doing. However, oftentimes things are more complicated, and there are pressures being exerted in great force upon our main character. Pressures from the outside. And in our book, Popularity, we're going to see whether Will has some of those same pressures too. Let's check it out. Okay, readers, straight up, here is what we need to consider for today and what we'll be learning. Characters have reasons for why they do what they do. So therefore, it's helpful to ask, what pressures might there be on this character? And do these pressures help me to understand the character's actions and decisions? So readers, I want to show you something, but first you need to do something. You need to, with your partners, think of, you don't have to agree, some ways in which Will, our main character, is just not very likable. In other words, you're going to be thinking of a less than admirable trait, and we've already talked about it, so this shouldn't be a problem. Go ahead and pause the video. Give that video a pause, and then play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause, and then play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause, and then you're gonna play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause, and then you're gonna play it again. Welcome back. Hey, I think pretty obviously Will can be ruthless or cruel. Thinking of ways in which he is those things. First of all, he ditches the Allens. He spent 6 months with them, just the three, and then it's adios, sayonara, bye-bye, and not even a passing like, hey, Allens, like, see ya. It's like he goes and just stands outside a group of kids. Doesn't get anything out of it even immediately. Or like when he calls Mitch Tweety Bird and everyone laughs, and that's the end of it for Mitch. Both of those are pretty ruthless moments. I mean, here, I'll read it again and you listen. Tell me that this isn't ruthless. I heard the laughter and felt the heat of the spotlight upon me. I pointed at Mitch's yellow pants and shirt and said, someone else needs a mirror. You look like a canary. Then, with the grace of a magician's assistant, I raised my left arm and a presentational gesture said, boys, I give you Tweety Bird. It was all over. As the volume of laughter doubled, Mitch seemed to vanish. And on that day, on that playground, Sean Owen's laughter was heard for the first time. In an instant, Mitch Brockman became Tweety Bird, and I, an absolute non-entity, became somebody. And then somebody special. Someone to seek out, someone to follow, Sean Owen's first jester and best friend. The entire transformation was complete in a matter of months. During this time, Mitch became a less and less vocal part of the group, telling fewer and fewer stories until finally, the following year, he was gone. To another school, perhaps, or another state, or another country, I never knew. No one knew, because no one noticed. No one had called him for months, but my phone rang. My weekends were filled with sleepovers and baseball games and bowling parties and bicycle races. And more new friends than I knew what to do with. Yeah, he's ruthless, all right. He destroys Mitch. So now the question we need to ask ourselves is, What pressures might the character be under? Will. What might be driving him to act this way? Pause the video and talk to your partners in your group and answer those questions. I'll repeat them one more time. What pressures might the character be under, and what might drive your character to act this way? Pause the video. Give that video a pause and then play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause and then play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause and then you're gonna play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause and then you're gonna play it again. All right, readers, we're back. I'm sure that you picked up on some of the things that I noticed as well. I mean, first of all, think about this. The story is called Popularity. Do you think that the drive to be popular has a pressure on him? Yes, 100%. The way that they frame this is like, this school, the popular kids are the only ones that matter. They're the only ones that get to do fun things and play tag. And Will, our main character, that's all he ever wanted and cared about was to be in the popular group. It's a huge pressure. And then what about loneliness? I'm sure that some of us said the idea that he felt alone the whole time, even while he was with the Allens, and he doesn't want to feel alone, that he doesn't have any friends, but that he needs this approval from this crowd that somehow has been decided to be the crowd to be in. And then, you know what? We might have overlooked the idea that there's also pressure on Mitch to be cruel in the same way that actually Mitch was cruel to him to begin with, asking if he needed a ruler for his pants. So there's pressure on the outside to be like, hey, you have to be mean, cruel, and ruthless. Otherwise, you're not going to get the things that you want. Gosh, that's pressure, all right. Readers, do you see how after we chose that unlikable trait, ruthless and cruel, we kept coming back to what's the reason that he's acting that way? And it helped us to really have a better understanding of our character. Helped us to kind of empathize with him, why he might be acting this way. Not to like make excuses, but just to know them better. All right, here's the deal. We talk about these things in reading because it helps us to be better readers, to see more deeply into the text and better understand characters. But the reality is, with today's lesson, you have an opportunity too. You can think to yourselves about becoming a better person. Becoming a better person as far as understanding the pressures in your own life that are being exerted upon you. Right now, I want to challenge you. Think back to a time where you did something that you look back and kind of go, that's not me. I really shouldn't have done that. It could be a way in which you behaved where it's like a less than likable way. Whether it's treating your sister in a way that's kind of rotten. Then, after you've thought of that time where you acted in a way that you know wasn't right, what pressures were exerted on you? Could you think of some? What were things that might have caused you to act the way you did, or at least contributed to them? When you've thought of some of those things, like a time that you didn't act in a very likable way, and then why, I would encourage you to share this with your partners. It can be hard to share something like that with your partners, but I think to get today's most important learning, sharing with your partners is the way to get that most important learning. Go ahead and pause the video. Give that video a pause and then play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause and then play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause and then you're gonna play it again. I'm gonna give that video a pause and then you're gonna play it again. Welcome back, readers. And I want to thank you, first of all, for being brave. For those of you who shared I'm sure that some of them seem like little tiny things, as far as taking something from your siblings that, you know, obviously is not yours and you didn't ask. Like maybe you borrowed your siblings' Crocs and didn't ask, or maybe they're Birkenstocks and didn't ask, or it's a piece of clothing. This might not seem like a big deal, but you probably thought of something like that. Maybe though it's a time where you snapped at your parents or your friends, talked behind someone's back, gossiped about someone in a way that you knew was going to make them feel bad if they found out. I'm sure that we all had things similar to those that we thought of. Could be even that you've experienced something like Will, where you weren't nice to someone to try to feel like you were going to fit in better, just like Will. Those are not easy moments that we're probably not proud of, but it's good that we can share those with others. And I bet that there were pressures similar to Will to be popular, or maybe it's to do well in school, or to do well in sports. Maybe it's even something like to dress like your friends dress, those fashions that your friends are into. And the reason that we want to be aware of those, in addition to understanding our stories better, is that just like Will, we don't want to be shaped by all of those pressures. We want to make positive decisions, and, we'll mess up, but hopefully when we see someone else mess up, we'll be able to forgive them and help them through it. All right, readers. So where does that leave us then with our work for today? I want to remind you that just because we have new things that we learn, we get to practice them here and talk about them. And while we would love to immediately dive back into our book and discover those things, we're not all in the same place in our book. Some of us are starting new ones. Some of us are in the middle. Some of us are drawing our stories to an end. And to expect us all to be able to each time do that new work isn't realistic. And so for your work today, we really need to go back and look at the different things that we've learned so far and make sure that as we're reading our book today, that in your jotting on your assignment, you're considering some of those things we've learned from before and noticing them and writing them in our journal. If you can find something from our new learning today, awesome. I love that. But it's going to be up to you to find something related to the learning that we've done at some point during our reading together. Don't forget, we want to make sure we get a lot of reading done. So it's that 30 minutes and then about 3 minutes worth of writing time. Let's make sure we're filling up that box on our page. And until I see you next time, happy reading.